After Portugal in 2015 and Shanghai and London last year, this is the 4th Plasticity Forum that I've moderated. And we're going to have another event in Anaheim in just about 3 weeks' time on May 9th. For those who didn't attend one of the previous 3, let me be clear up front about my background very briefly. I'm not a waste or recycling expert. I'm not a designer or a brand manager or a scientist or an engineer. I'm a journalist, and I've been very active in the plastics industry for the last 28 years. I was the founding editor of the weekly Plastics News business newspaper back in 1989 and oversaw its operations until 2014. And then I set up my own company in Akron, Ohio almost 3 years ago and continue to closely monitor the business of the plastics industry and write about it and sustainability and design. Some quick look at the market. The shale boom in North America has helped to drive down oil and natural gas prices and with it virgin resin prices. That only further challenges the economics of using recycled resin instead of virgin materials. But it doesn't change the fact at all that the fast-growing global population is on track to hit almost 9 billion people by the year 2050. So it remains urgent that we find better ways to minimize and manage our trash and for the overall health of all the people, our ocean, and the planet as a whole. The debates and diverse opinions about climate change, which, by the way, is not a hoax, certain environmental policies and the sustainability of various materials and processes continue to this day and remain just as vigorous as ever. Some are grounded in fact, others in fantasy, and others in pure emotion. But regardless, the plastics industry has both an opportunity and an obligation to address such issues in a proactive and positive manner. That's what led Doug to create Plasticity 5 years ago, and it's what brings us all here together today. Various research efforts have helped to clearly document the societal value of plastics. And this is vital, since this wonder material is so often unfairly vilified as the arch nemesis of the environment. But still much work remains to be done, and we still need to figure out what to do with all that plastic stuff that we continue to make and consume and throw away in alarming volumes. I happen to think some of the answers lie in the design community. We need more designers involved in plasticity and in the broader discussions about how to make products that not only require less material, but that can also be recycled and reused more effectively. Designers can help to make products into objects of desire, which lead consumers to want to keep and reuse them rather than use them once and toss them in the bin. Earlier this year, the global design firm IDEO, in conjunction with the UK-based nonprofit, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, introduced the Circular Design Guide. IDEO's CEO, Tim Brown, said at the launch of that product, "Transitioning to the circular economy is one of the most important design challenges of our time. For designers, it means rethinking traditional approaches and retraining in circular principles. This guide was created to provide the tools needed to move from ideas to action." The goal of the circular economy, of course, as you know, is to move us all from our traditional take, make, and dispose economy to one that has a closed loop where materials, nutrients, and data are continuously repurposed. The Circular Design Guide aims to raise awareness of this concept while also nurturing a systems perspective and sharing practical innovation methods. You can learn more about this at www.circulardesignguide.com. These are just some of the topics that bring us together today, and we've gathered some of the world's best and brightest and most motivated when it comes to effecting positive change, leveraging knowledge, and finding scalable solutions to the vexing problem of plastic waste. Just think how much can be achieved when all of us, and including our extended networks, truly collaborate and work toward finding ways to implement a circular economy. But enough from me. I warmly welcome you all to the 7th Plasticity Forum here in Dallas as part of Earth Day, Texas. And I'm pleased to introduce the man who created Plasticity and who has almost single-handedly built it into what it is today. Doug Woodring is the co-founder of the Ocean Recovery Alliance, which focuses on bringing innovative solutions, technology, collaborations, and policy together to impact positive improvements for the health of the ocean. That group is one of the first NGOs ever to be working with both the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, and the World Bank on their respective ocean programs aimed at reducing plastic pollution in our environment. Doug organized the very first Plasticity Forum at the Earth Summit in Rio in 2012, and since has held the event in Hong Kong, New York, Cascais, Portugal, Shanghai, London, and now Dallas. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll be holding another Plasticity soon in Anaheim on May 9th as part of the big annual technical conference of the Society of Plastics Engineers. And Doug is already working on another Plasticity in Sydney, Australia for mid-November this year. So if you can't make it to these events, but you know other parties who might be interested, you can find more details at plasticityforum.com. Based in Hong Kong, Doug has worked in Asia for the past 20+ years in various industries that have been at the forefront of technology within their sectors, mainly related to the environment and new media platforms. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Doug Woodring.
Thank you, Bob, and thanks for everyone coming today. And big thanks to Trammell Crow and his whole crew at Earth Day, Texas. When we started this event in Rio at the Earth Summit 5 years ago, I never really expected to be in Dallas talking about plastic. But you know, this is great. We have made a special effort to move our event around the world to different cities, so that different communities and stakeholders can be involved in this kind of conversation. And I think this is such a important topic and a complex one that it is critical that different cities and stakeholders get the chance to hear what we're doing. So all of today's proceedings will be on video and they will be shared later. And as Bob said, as we go through the day, there are upcoming events like this. We can't make these events happen without our support of our sponsors, the Foy Group from Australia, who you'll hear from later today just before lunch. Also the World Plastic Council, who is the association of many of the plastic makers around the world. They realize this is an important discussion to be involved in and to drive solutions in this space. And also NatureWorks, an NGO, who will be speaking, Steve Davies, just after lunch. Great work in the biospace. So this event, Plasticity, is really about the future of plastic. Years ago, we heard Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate say that he was told the future is plastic, and we've used it, and we've never really thought about the implications of what this great lightweight, durable material is when it gets out beyond our hands and into the environment. And as the growth of the world has increased, as consumption has increased, as our packaging capacity, molding capacity, all of the new ways that we can use plastic has grown, all of the export markets that we have for our products has increased. We've been sending products and material to a lot of countries that do not have the capacity whatsoever today to handle plastic as a waste stream, as a recycle it. But the value there is something that is pretty extraordinary if we can all help to tap it. Roughly 85% of all plastic today does not get recycled, even though there's a little triangle on the bottom that says recycle me. And this is critical because a lot of people in the US and Europe might think it's pretty clean, our cities and rivers are pretty good. But in much of the world, this is where there's a huge gap in capacity. And I think this is where companies like ours and the leaders who are bringing together new materials, new ways of collection, new ways of reformatting that material, maybe it's for fuel, maybe it's back into recycling, and we have to all work together to do this at scale. And so the reason we have Plasticity with all different stakeholders in the plastic spectrum all in the same room is because often they don't talk to each other within the subsectors of plastic. And as Bob said, we don't often have the design community here. Yet the design community is key in thinking about how to make a product and how to make it so the second life and the third life and the fourth life of that product can be captured and re-brought into the system for a circular economy. When that happens, we reduce our waste and our footprint with this material in the ecosystem. And today, there literally are billions of people who on a daily basis are impacted by waste. Their water, health issue, fishing, tourism impact, and all of these things are felt a lot more directly in many ways for these people than climate change is. And yet, plastic and waste is something that is usually created just because it left someone's hand and went somewhere that wasn't able to be then harnessed and taken away in the right way. So it's very close to us at the hand level, but the society changes and the infrastructure that we need to bring in to fix this are complex. And that's why we're here today, to hear some of these experts, and I know you will learn a lot from this. It's like a one-day MBA in plastic sustainability. I don't know if Bob, we talk about it as the Olympics of plastic, but we hope you agree with that, and look forward to having an excellent day today and sharing a lot of information with one another. And we'll see you as the day progresses. Thank you very much.